If you think a glorified face napkin is gonna stop the Rona, you're straight up certifiably insane. It's time we had the ultimate pandemic defeating device.
It's awesome.
See, even assuming the stupid masks work, all they do is prevent your germies from going far. That is why we had the 6-foot rule, because if you are properly masked, your germies, while they still do get out, won't travel that far away. But people don't want to actually stay 6 feet away. No. People like getting all up in your personal space. What if there was a mask that would make people want to stay 6 feet away? I got lucky on my first try. I created a masterpiece. People don't appreciate my genius. Dagnabbit. Then I had a real stroke of genius, okay? We're gonna get a mask. Then we're gonna get a motion sensor that'll detect when someone steps within 6 feet. Then we're gonna get a flamethrower and we're gonna build that into the mask itself to be triggered by that motion sensor. This will change everything. Alright, first steps first. We need to figure out the proper mask to build this on. Normal face masks simply aren't going to cut it. They're too small, they're too weak, they're too flimsy, they're too light, they're not going to stay on your face. If we try to add any weight to them, they're just going to fall right off. I could 3D print a mask. The problem is, depending on the filament, 3D printed masks aren't necessarily fireproof. Actually, you know, the 3D printed filament tends to melt. I thought about using a gas mask like this. However, the problem is most gas masks are made of this weird, flexible plastic material. I just keep thinking of it melting to my face, and that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Also, most face masks are pretty low profile, so the fire would be very close to your face. We really need some sort of mask that comes out farther so our face doesn't melt.
Oh, I hate you.
Another criteria is we really need a mask that will cover your whole entire face, some sort of face shield almost, in case wind or something blows the fire back. You want to be able to get a wife someday. If only there was some mask design that enclosed your whole face, looked really intimidating, and also had this long nose, almost like a beak. We're gonna make this Plague Doctor mask out of leather so it'll be really fire resistant, and that's where we need to start. Let's make the mask. Oh yeah. It smells good. Now I realize some of you might think using templates is cheating, to which I would say you can't cheat on your own project, and I don't care. Full disclosure, I've got no clue what I'm doing. This will be the first actual leather project I've done. Yeah, I'm literally just following exactly Skilltree's tutorial. So, Kitman, if this project goes south, it's all on you. FYI, leather is way harder to cut than they make it look. I think this is like 6-ounce leather. The ounce actually refers to the thickness, which makes 0 sense whatsoever. 1/8 of an inch thick, essentially. It's gonna be really difficult to cut through a long straight section. That's where your utility knife will be better suited. However, for a curve like this, I'm finding it's a bit easier to do it with the scissors. Booyah. To punch holes in the leather, we're just gonna use the handy dandy leather punch. Cause what else would you use? Oh gosh. That's gonna get old fast. Oh my word. Good night. As you can see, there are a lot of holes to punch, which is, oh my gosh, that hurts. Now that we've got the pieces all cut out and stamped, I'm gonna take this tool, which I cannot for the life of me remember the name of. It just takes that super sharp corner off, rounds it over, makes it look prettier. I have most of the tools I'm using for this leather work in the description down below if any of you guys are also interested in getting started in leather working. This is the handheld burnishing tool. They make one that goes into a drill and your drill spins it. That would be nicer, but I don't have one of those right now. Basically, you just run this along the edge of the leather, back and forth like so, really fast, and it kind of turns over the edge and burns it. I think you might be supposed to use some kind of oil for this. I don't have that, but I did read that you can just soften the leather edge with a little bit of water, and that will work too. Beeswax, I think it was, that is really good for this, but don't have any of that right now. Look at that. Wow, look at that edge. Isn't that great? Like I've already said, this Plague Doctor mask has to be intimidating. We want to make people want to stay away. So we are definitely going to tool the leather, which basically means to punch or scribe a really epic design, as well as dyeing it. We want to kill the leather with this dark brown leather dye. And I definitely did not already start working on this off camera. This is the top forehead section, and check out this leather tooling I did. I got a skull stamp. It's so fitting for a Plague Doctor mask. Basically, the first thing you want to do is go ahead and cut in your outline, right? So you just do that with the swivel knife. It's pretty simple. Then you take another tool and you indent the leather along that edge so as to make the border stand out. After you do that, basically you just take a bunch of other fancy punches and go to town. I just went on Amazon and bought this handy little set of leather punches. Came with the swivel knife, a bunch of punches, and this hammer. Very weird looking hammer. More like a rolling pin. Like a mini rolling pin. Also, you want it to really pop the difference between the border, you know, the smooth leather, and the inside. So as you can see, I took a punch and just textured all of this inside here, as well as indented the leather around the skulls. That textured surface actually dyes darker than the smoother surface, as you can see, because that dye wants to seep into all those little cracks, and that creates a really cool sort of two-toned finish. That helps it pop more. We need to talk about the flamethrower. I want to use propane for this, as it's simple, easy to use, it's not very high pressure, it's relatively safe. There's only one little problem, and that is that a single propane can will only fire flames about 3 feet max. That's what we get. However, if we turn the propane can upside down, this causes liquid propane to flow into the hose and fire out the front. It makes the flame much, much larger. About a 6-foot flame. Perfecto. Now the actual flamethrower construction is going to be really fairly simple. It's a solenoid, which is an electronically triggered valve. That way we can trigger it with electronics instead of manually, because duh. We're literally just going to directly screw this to a propane tank, and then we're going to take the hose and attach the hose to it, and that will go up to the mask and fire out of this copper barrel. I've started the sewing, and I'm literally just following Skilltree's tutorial. It's an excellent tutorial, my man, and just sewing it up. If you can tell that I'm not like super enthused, it's because this has all been very tedious so far and it's just slow going, so I've just been listening to podcasts and stuff, and I'm gonna continue to do that.
Thousand years later.
What the heck? That is awesome.
Leatherwork is not as hard as it looks, guys. This was really not that difficult. I thought it would be really awesome if I could make the eyes glow. So I went online and I bought these glowing eye LED strip deals. And they use them for cosplay and stuff for like Iron Man helmets. It has this pattern in it, so that if the back end is dark, you can't really see into it. However, of course, if you hold it right up to your eye, you can see through it. Anyway, it lights up red, or it's supposed to, until I got it and turned it on and realized it actually lights up pink. And pink's really not intimidating enough. So then I thought, oh, well, what if we had red lenses? So I bought these. And of course, because these are red lenses, pretty much any light on the inside is gonna come out looking bright red. Do I have any idea how I'm gonna attach them to the mask? Not a clue. Not a clue. Believe it or not, everything up till this point was actually the easy part. Now we move on to the electronics, spelt with an L. For the longest time, there has been an enormous hole in the middle of my brilliant, beautiful brain. The hole labeled anything electronic. I don't understand it at all. It's somewhere between voodoo and magic. This is an Arduino. It's basically a mini computer. You can program stuff into it. You can use it to run code, LED lights, sensors, solenoids like we're gonna do. There's so much stuff you can do with this. Problem is, with this project, I'm literally jumping right into the deep end of the pool without knowing how to swim, while my arms and legs are tied up. So I need to get started learning, like, a lot.
One eternity later.
This is a ultrasonic proximity sensor. It's essentially a miniature sonar kit. It sends out a super high frequency sound wave and then catches it when it bounces off whatever's in front of it, and then it measures the distance and it'll do stuff with that. It's super freaking cool. Obviously we're gonna use it to tell the flamethrower to turn on if something gets within 6 feet, and I'll actually hooked it up and it works. Check this out. I've just got it hooked up to an LED, so if I plug it in and then I put my hand in front of it, it lights up. That is so freaking cool. Code is obviously super like confusing and intimidating, at least it was to me, but I've come to understand it just a little. Basically, computers are very complicated machines that answer a very simple question. If this, then what? Computers just ask this question many times over and over and over and over again. Code is you filling in these blanks. In the case of this mask, if the ultrasonic sensor reads that something gets within 6 feet, that's the if, then the Arduino will send power to the solenoid and the igniter. Okay, so everything was going great until I was working on the ignition device, which is the arc lighter, and that's when things went awry. In theory, it was so gloriously simple. I just take apart the lighter, take apart the trigger button, and then substitute some bit of electronic magic so it would trigger by the Arduino. That didn't work at all for reasons too lengthy to go into here. This one didn't work. So I said, you know what? Okay, that's fine. I happen to have a spare right here. And I fried this one trying to get it to work. So then I was like, okay, this really sucks, but I have a solution. I'll buy another one off Amazon. Guess what happened to this one? This one didn't work either. But I was smart. I foresaw something like that happening. So instead of just buying one, I bought 3 off Amazon. This one also did not work. This one also did not work. And then I was at my wit's end. And then I remembered that my brother happened to have one, so I stole his. But as soon as I took it apart, that one stopped working. And except for the one I burnt out, I have no idea why these aren't working. I'm not frustrated at all. I'm really totally fine about this whole ordeal. But, fortunately, I also bought this little thingamajiggy. This is the arc device. Somehow this just works flawlessly. You plug the battery up and it starts zappy-zappying. Focus! See? The Arduino then has to connect to the ultrasonic sensor, as well as the igniter, as well as the solenoid. And it looks pretty simple like that. That's not a ton of wiring. But then you have to remember each of these needs their own battery supply. The Arduino has ports to plug stuff in, however the Arduino only supplies 5 volts, which is enough to power the ultrasonic sensor. So that doesn't need its own separate battery, that'll run directly off the Arduino. However, the solenoid needs way more than 5 volts. I think I ended up using like 24 volts or something. The igniter also needs volts not coming from the Arduino, because the Arduino will overload if it's plugged up to too many things. So of course you think, oh, well that's simple. You just stick a battery between the Arduino and the thingy. So then the Arduino basically acts as the switch, connecting and disconnecting the battery from the whatever you're trying to power. Wrong you are, good sir. See, the Arduino can't do that because it's... I can't remember now. I'm filming this afterward. I think it was... It doesn't work anyway, so you need what's called a relay. Actually, you could use like a MOSFET, but I'm too stupid to figure that out, so I used a relay. This focus is a relay. Basically, these ports connect to your Arduino, and then you plug your actual power supply into here. And what that does is the high voltage is all on this side, and the low voltage is all on this side. The Arduino connects to this side, and it can switch the thingy on and off, which basically acts like a solenoid valve almost. So the Arduino, using low voltage, connects the switch, which connects these high voltage wires. So you can literally use an Arduino, which only operates at like 5 volts or whatever, to power on and off a 110 volt AC like light or something. And that's about all I know about it. If I was a magician or something, I could explain exactly how it works, but I'm not. I'm an idiot. So we just slap a relay there and there. All of this is pretty straightforward once I sit down and explain it with the knowledge I have now. The problem is, when I was doing this, I didn't understand. I didn't know what a relay was. I didn't know that what voltage the Arduino could take. I didn't know how to use the freaking. I didn't know anything about this.
Well, guess it's about time for a first test. Hot dang, that is legitimately terrifying. Ooh, I should turn on the LEDs, and I definitely won't be able to see anything. Okay, as you can see, this is already the greatest thing ever. Before I strap it to myself, I want to make sure I don't melt. So I've got it on Bob, our test dummy. This is actually a very safe mechanism because I have the entire power supply for the Arduino right here, and I have to plug it in before it can even turn on. And of course I have the kill switch. We need something to trigger the flamethrower, which is me. So I bought this fireproof suit, but it's very cheap, straight from China. So I don't think it's that effective. We'll see. It's basically like an aluminum foil, which bounces off most of the heat energy. However, the surface will still heat up, so you need another insulating layer under it. And we'll just give it a go, see what happens. I might be making it sound more dangerous just for effect. This is really not a dangerous test.
As he puts on armor.
Well, I don't want to... Stop. I'll go ahead and plug it up. All right. There we go. All right, I'm ready.
Gotta fog that thing up.
That's really cool. Wow. I totally forgot that was on. I blew it out, forgot it was on, and walked in front of it. That's a good thing I had the hood on, otherwise half my hair would be singed off. Don't want to lose the hair. It works! I should probably just go straight to wearing it.
Oh, quite possibly the worst idea.
Let's go straight to doing that. Alright, here we go, switching it on. I'm moving to the right one. I can't see anything with the red eyes in. That is awesome. Take that next time. Stay 6 feet away from me. I did make one mistake. I stuck the ultrasonic sensor up top. I forgot to take into account that when this thing is switched off, because we're shooting liquid propane through it, we're gonna have residue, basically, that's still gonna be burning. Just go ahead and demonstrate. Got it hooked up. As soon as something gets within 6 feet, it will trigger the sensor. Boom. But now the fire is in front of the sensor, so as soon as it times out, it'll trigger itself. Every like 3 seconds, I think I've got it timed out to. But if I blow that out, you'll see that
it does totally work. What I should have done is stick the sensor on the bottom so that the fire obviously rises and doesn't trigger the sensor. Now that we've cured COVID and everything's fine and dandy, go join my Discord, link in the description down below, as well as check out my Instagram where I post, behind the scenes stuff, kind of just join up, help be part of the growing community. This thing, it was such a stupid idea, but somehow it kind of worked, and I didn't melt my face off. That's always a good thing. Like, I am super, super proud of how this came out. A great introduction to leatherworking and electronics for me. Hopefully this is the beginning of a lot of really, really cool stuff to come. Yeah, there's not much else to say. This was stupid as heck. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Get off your behindy. Get off YouTube. Go out into the great wide world and build something awesome. Until the next video. Bye.